Hello, my friend. How is your day today? Today, we will once again explore and talk about the topic, what happens to women when they chase a dangerous man? Let's dive into it together with psychological depth. There's a conversation nobody wants to have. Behind the carefully curated Instagram feeds and professional LinkedIn profiles, behind the polite smiles and appropriate responses, there exists a completely different reality about female desire. Some women, reading their book club's latest feminist manifesto by day, are searching for something entirely different by night. They're not looking for safety, comfort, or equality. They're looking for danger, challenge, and conquest. Let me explain what's really happening in the hidden corners of female psychology that society pretends doesn't exist. The hidden taboo desires that some women carry would shock most men. We've been told women want sensitive, emotional, safe partners, but look at what they actually consume in private. Romance novels about billionaire bad boys who need fixing, fantasy fiction about vampires and werewolves, stories about dangerous men who can only be tamed by the right woman. The disconnect between public persona and private fantasy is staggering. I had a client whose girlfriend was a kindergarten teacher. Sweet, nurturing, wouldn't hurt a fly. He found her Kindle history accidentally, dominated by stories about motorcycle gang members, mafia bosses, and Vikings. Not sweet Vikings who write poetry, violent Vikings who raid villages. Her public persona was Mother Teresa, but her private desires were something else entirely. Society assumes women are naturally pure or sweet, but psychological observation shows this is complete fiction. Some women's fantasies are darker and more complex than anything men imagine. But because society can't handle this truth, these desires get buried, hidden, expressed only in private spaces where nobody's watching. The dual personality phenomenon is something every man needs to understand. There's the woman you meet at work, at the coffee shop, at the gym. That's the social presentation. Then there's who she becomes when nobody's watching, when social constraints disappear. These aren't the same person. The public behavior is costume. The private behavior is closer to truth. A therapist colleague shared something fascinating. Her female clients, successful professional women, often confess fantasies that completely contradict their public feminist positions. They march for equality by day, but search for dominance by night. They demand respect in the boardroom, but crave something entirely different in the bedroom. The cognitive distance would be funny if it wasn't so revealing. The attraction to dangerous or untamed men isn't a bug, it's a feature. Some women are drawn to men who are challenging, aggressive, unconventional, not despite these qualities, but because of them. The stable accountant with a 401k doesn't trigger the same psychological response as the unemployed musician with a drug problem. Guess which one she's thinking about at night. This isn't about all women, let me be clear, but for a significant subset, the appeal isn't security or stability. It's the challenge, it's the danger, it's the possibility of being the one woman who can tame the untamable. Beauty and the Beast isn't a children's story. It's a psychological blueprint that's been playing out for centuries. The conquest as a core fantasy reveals something profound about some female psychology. They don't want a man who's already domesticated. Where's the achievement in that? They want to be the one who breaks the wild horse, the one who civilizes the barbarian, the special woman who succeeds where all others failed. I watched this play out with a friend, serial dater of bad boys, each time convinced she could fix them, change them, tame them, and occasionally she'd succeed. The bad boy would become a good boyfriend, and you know what happened every single time? She lost interest immediately. The conquest was complete. The game was over. Time to find a new wild animal to domesticate. The process of conquering the untamable itself is the source of desire. Once achieved, The magic disappears. It's like a hunter who loves the hunt but has no interest in the trophy. The domesticated man becomes boring, predictable, safe.
Everything she said she wanted, but actually doesn't. Cultural reinforcement through stories has been programming this for generations. Every romance novel follows the same pattern. Dangerous man meets special woman. She alone can reach him. He changes for her. 50 Shades of Grey didn't sell 150 million copies because women want stable IT professionals. It sold because some women fantasize about billionaire sadists who will change just for them. Modern romance novels reflect these dynamics explicitly. The male love interest is never just nice. He's damaged, dangerous, powerful, or all three. He has a dark past, violent tendencies, emotional walls, and only the female protagonist can break through. Only she can heal him. Only she can tame him. It's the same story told a million different ways. Look at what dominates female-oriented fantasy. Vampires who might kill you but choose not to. Werewolves who could tear you apart but control themselves for you. Demons who torture everyone else but protect you. The fantasy isn't about safety. It's about being special enough to be the exception to the danger. Some women's engagement with adult content has exploded in recent years. And what are they watching? Not gentle lovemaking with respectful partners. The most popular categories involve dominance, submission, intensity, things that would get a man canceled for suggesting. But when women seek it out privately, suddenly it's empowerment. The preferences often involve themes that completely contradict public positions. A woman who will lecture about toxic masculinity in public might search for exactly that in private. The same person posting #MeToo might be reading fiction about situations that would horrify their social circle. The private desire and public persona couldn't be more different. Certain fantasies that are socially taboo get explored through books and media, things they could never admit to wanting, desires that would destroy their reputation if known. So they hide behind fiction, telling themselves it's just fantasy, just entertainment. But what we consistently seek in fantasy reveals truth about desire. The societal taboo and repression of female desire creates this underground economy of hidden wants. Open discussion of women's dark fantasies is completely forbidden. You can't even suggest some women might want traditional dynamics without being called misogynistic. So the desires go underground, expressed in private consumption that nobody talks about. Some women retreat into private spaces, reading apps, anonymous forums, private group chats, to explore desires that cannot be publicly expressed. They create alternate accounts, use VPNs, hide their history. The effort put into hiding these desires shows how powerful and how taboo they really are. Cultural norms position women as morally superior, which conflicts with their actual desires. Society says women are more evolved, more civilized, more progressive. But then some of those same women go home and fantasize about being conquered by barbarians. The conflict between social expectation and private desire creates massive psychological tension. The attraction being multidimensional means men don't need to be conventionally attractive to trigger these responses. Traits like ruggedness, unpredictability, danger can be more powerful than good looks. The scarred boxer might beat the pretty model. The dangerous musician might beat the handsome lawyer. It's not about aesthetics, it's about psychological triggers. This explains partly why some women date men that make no sense on paper. He's unemployed, unreliable, possibly criminal, but he triggers something primal. He represents danger, challenge, conquest. Meanwhile, the stable, successful, appropriate man gets friend-zoned, not because he's inferior, but because he doesn't activate the same psychological mechanisms. Extreme masculinity often links to dominance or strength, which appeals subconsciously to some women despite their conscious politics. They'll vote for policies promoting gender equality while being attracted to men who embody inequality.
They'll support feminism publicly while craving patriarchy privately. The conscious mind and unconscious desire are at complete odds. Some women are attracted to men for emotional, psychological, and physical reasons simultaneously, but the psychological often dominates. A man who can create emotional intensity, who represents a psychological challenge, who triggers deep psychological patterns, he'll beat the better-looking man who doesn't. This is why confidence matters more than appearance. The cycle of desire and disinterest follows predictable patterns.
Meet dangerous man. Become obsessed with taming him. Put enormous effort into the conquest. Succeed in domesticating him. Immediately lose interest. Find new dangerous man. Repeat cycle. It's exhausting to watch and even more exhausting to experience. Once some women achieve emotional conquest of a challenging man, the interest vanishes like smoke. The bad boy who becomes a good boyfriend is no longer interesting. The player who commits becomes boring. The dangerous man who becomes safe loses his appeal. The conquest was the goal, not the relationship. The thrill lies in the challenge itself rather than the result. It's the psychological equivalent of climbing Everest. Once you've reached the summit, standing there isn't particularly interesting. The achievement was in the struggle, not the outcome. Some women are addicted to the climb, not interested in the peak. This mirrors male patterns where conquest is prioritized over attachment. But society acknowledges male conquest drive while denying female conquest drive exists. Men who chase and lose interest are players. Women who do the same are what? We don't even have words for it because we pretend it doesn't happen. The practical implications for men are significant. Stop trying to be what women say they want. Pay attention to what they actually respond to. The nice, stable, appropriate man they describe isn't who they're thinking about at 2 a.m. The dangerous, challenging, inappropriate man they claim to hate, that's who occupies their fantasies. Men should recognize that attraction is influenced by psychological and emotional dynamics more than physical appearance. You don't need to be handsome, but you need to be interesting. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be challenging. You don't need to be safe, but you need to be exciting. Confidence and the ability to approach remain crucial regardless of looks. The average-looking man who approaches with dangerous confidence beats the handsome man who approaches with safety. Some women are attracted to the approach itself, the boldness, the risk-taking, the violation of social norms. Understanding these hidden drives can improve relationships if you use them wisely. Don't become entirely dangerous. That's unsustainable. But don't become entirely safe either. That's relationship death. The sweet spot is controlled danger, civilized wildness, domesticated with hints of untamed. I counsel men who killed their relationships by becoming too safe. They did everything right, committed, provided, communicated, cared, and their partners lost all attraction. Why? Because they eliminated the challenge. They removed the danger. They became completely domesticated. And domesticated doesn't trigger desire in certain women. The social programming tells men to be soft, sensitive, safe. But look at who women actually choose. The drug dealer over the pharmacist, the struggling artist over the stable engineer, the MMA fighter over the yoga instructor. Actions reveal truth. Words reveal what they think they should want. Some women will date the dangerous man while keeping the safe man as backup. The bad boy for excitement, the nice guy for security. They'll complain to the nice guy about the bad boy while going back to the bad boy every time. The nice guy provides emotional support for her relationship with someone else. The fantasy versus reality gap creates endless frustration. Some women want the fantasy of the dangerous man but can't handle the reality. They want a tame wolf, wild enough to be exciting, tame enough to be safe. But wolves are either wild or tame, not both. The fantasy creature they want doesn't exist. I've watched women try to create this impossible hybrid. They'll date a dangerous man and try to keep only the exciting parts while eliminating the dangerous parts. But the danger and excitement are the same thing. Remove one, you lose both. You can't have a safe adventure. The underground nature of these desires means most men never learn the truth. Women won't admit these desires publicly. They won't tell you directly. They might not even admit them to themselves. So men operate on false information, trying to be what women say they want instead of what they actually want. The reading habits reveal everything. Look at what sells in women's fiction: billionaire bad boys, motorcycle gangs, vampires, werewolves, aliens who abduct, pirates who kidnap. Do these sound like safe, sensitive, feminist-approved love interests? The market doesn't lie, even when people do. Some women's book clubs are fascinating studies in contradiction. They'll discuss feminist literature while secretly reading things that would make their feminist heroes weep. They'll champion equality and discussion while fantasizing about inequality in private. The public book club and the private Kindle tell different stories. The rise of dark romance as a genre tells you everything. These aren't stories about mutual respect and equality. They're about power, danger, possession, conquest, and who's buying them? Primarily women. The same women who demand safety and respect in real life are paying for danger and domination in fiction.
Online forums where women discuss these desires anonymously are eye-opening. Free from social judgment, they admit things they'd never say publicly. Desires for intensity, dominance, danger, fantasies about being conquered, tamed, possessed. The exact opposite of what modern society says women should want. The cognitive dissonance some women experience must be exhausting, publicly championing one set of values while privately desiring their opposite, fighting for equality while fantasizing about inequality, demanding respect while craving domination. The psychological split between public and private self creates constant tension. Men who understand this dynamic have massive advantages, not because they become abusive, that's not the point, but because they understand that attraction isn't logical, isn't moral, isn't what society pretends. They can maintain edge while being good men. They can be dangerous without being damaging. The taming process is something to be aware of and resist. When a woman tries to domesticate you completely, she's destroying what attracted her. Maintain some wildness, keep some edge. Don't become entirely predictable. The moment you're fully tamed is the moment she starts looking for a new wild animal. I've seen relationships saved by men who understood this and intentionally maintained some danger. Not actual danger, controlled unpredictability, mysterious elements, challenges to her control. The relationship needs tension to maintain attraction, and safety eliminates tension. The evolutionary psychology behind this makes sense. For thousands of generations, the dangerous man who could be tamed by the right woman was the optimal choice. Dangerous enough to protect, tameable enough to stay. This programming doesn't disappear just because we have police and grocery stores. Now, some women test men constantly to see if the danger is still there. They'll push boundaries, create drama, provoke reactions. They're not trying to destroy the relationship, they're trying to verify the wildness still exists. The man who fails these tests by being too nice loses attraction. The popularity of certain male archetypes across cultures reveals universal patterns. The warrior who becomes gentle only for her, the monster who becomes human only for her, the villain who becomes hero only for her. These aren't random stories, they're psychological patterns expressing themselves through narrative. Reality TV dating shows reveal these dynamics clearly. The nice guys get eliminated early, the dangerous ones create drama but stay longer. Women claim they hate the drama while being magnetically drawn to men who create it. The show producers understand female psychology better than most relationship counselors. The bad boy phenomenon isn't really about being bad, it's about being untamed. You can be a good man who's untamed, ethical but dangerous, moral but wild. The combination of good character and untamed energy is irresistible to certain women. Some women will deny this vehemently while simultaneously proving it true. They'll argue they want nice guys while dating jerks. They'll claim they want equality while choosing dominance. The denial is part of the social programming.
They can't admit the truth without facing social consequences. The projection that happens is interesting. Some women accuse men of only wanting one thing, while themselves being driven by equally primal desires. They criticize male sexuality while hiding their own. The difference is society accepts and discusses male desire while female desire remains hidden. Social media creates additional layers of deception. The relationship presented online bears no resemblance to private reality. The couple who looks perfect in posts might involve a woman desperately trying to tame a wild man or a woman bored to death with a tamed man. The image and reality couldn't be more different. The shame around these desires prevents honest discussion. Some women can't admit they want to be conquered because it violates everything they're supposed to believe. So the desires get expressed indirectly, through fiction, through fantasies, through choosing men who embody what they can't admit wanting. The market for coaching that teaches men to be more dangerous is growing because it works, not because women are broken or wrong, but because attraction operates on older programming than social conditioning.
The primal brain doesn't care about modern values. Some women oscillate between extremes, dating dangerous men, then safe men, never finding satisfaction with either. The dangerous man is too much reality, the safe man is too little excitement. They're looking for a balance that might not exist. The confession I hear most from married men is that their wives lost attraction when they became good husbands. They did everything right, provided, committed, communicated, and attraction died. Because good husbands are fully domesticated, and domesticated doesn't trigger desire in women programmed to want wild. The solution isn't to become actually dangerous, it's to understand that attraction requires tension, challenge, mystery. You can be a good man while maintaining edge. You can be reliable while being unpredictable. You can be safe while seeming dangerous. Young men need to understand this early. The dating advice they get, be nice, be safe, be supportive, is exactly wrong for creating attraction. It might create comfort, but comfort doesn't create desire. Some women marry comfort and cheat with danger. The increase in female infidelity correlates with how domesticated modern men have become. The safer and more civilized men become, the more some women seek danger elsewhere. The affair partner is rarely better looking or more successful, he's just more dangerous. Dating apps accidentally reveal these patterns. Some women match with safe men but message dangerous men. They'll have deep conversations with marriage material while hooking up with men they'd never marry. The split between who they date and who they mate with is obvious. The friend zone makes perfect sense through this lens. Safe, nice, appropriate men become friends. Dangerous, challenging, inappropriate men become lovers. Some women keep armies of safe men around while pursuing dangerous men. The safe men provide emotional support for relationships with dangerous men. Male confusion about female desire stems from taking women's words literally. Women say they want one thing while responding to its opposite, not because they're lying, but because they're subject to social programming that conflicts with biological programming. They might not even understand their own desires. The fantasy of reforming a dangerous man is more appealing than the reality of living with one. Some women spend years chasing this fantasy, destroying stable relationships for the possibility of taming someone untamable. The fantasy is more powerful than reality. Certain personality types are particularly susceptible to this pattern. High-achieving women often want someone they can't control. Women who control everything else in their lives seek men who can't be controlled. The challenge becomes addictive. The cultural shift needed is honest acknowledgement of female desire complexity. Stop pretending women only want safety and respect. Some want danger and conquest. Understanding real desire instead of pretending it doesn't exist would lead to healthier relationships. Men who naturally embody this dangerous energy often don't understand their appeal. They're not trying to be attractive, they just are. Meanwhile, men trying desperately to be attractive by being safe and nice wonder why they're ignored. The entertainment industry understands this perfectly. Every successful movie romance involves a dangerous man being tamed. Every romance novel that sells follows this pattern. The market reveals truth that conversation conceals. Some women's therapy sessions would shock their partners. The desires they discuss, the fantasies they explore, the admissions they make.
Therapists know the truth about female desire but can't discuss it publicly without professional consequences. The generational patterns are shifting. Younger women are slightly more open about these desires. The pretense is dropping slowly. But the social pressure to deny these desires remains strong. Admitting you want to be conquered doesn't fit with modern feminist ideals. Online dating profiles reveal the contradiction. Some women list requirements for safety and stability while responding to profiles that scream danger. They say they want long-term while swiping on men who obviously aren't long-term material. The type phenomenon is real. Some women consistently choose the same dangerous type, fail repeatedly, then blame men in general. They won't date safe men because there's no excitement. They can't sustain relationships with dangerous men.
They're stuck in a cycle. Male adaptability means men can learn to embody controlled danger. You don't have to be naturally dangerous. You can learn to reject it while being fundamentally safe. This is the optimal strategy: actual safety with the appearance of danger. The complaints about no real men anymore are about this dynamic. Some women aren't lamenting the loss of provision or protection. They're lamenting the loss of wildness. Modern men are too civilized, too safe, too tame. There's nothing left to conquer. Therapy for couples often reveals this dynamic. She says she wants him to communicate more, be more sensitive, but when he does, attraction decreases. What she really wants is for him to be more challenging, less predictable, but she can't say that. The test is simple. Look at behavior, not words. Who does she actually date? Who does she think about? Who does she respond to? The answer reveals truth that words conceal. Some women will tell you they want safety while consistently choosing danger. Books like 50 Shades didn't succeed because of good writing. They succeeded because they gave women permission to explore taboo desires through fiction. The popularity revealed what millions of women actually want but can't admit. The vampire boyfriend trend wasn't random. Vampires are literally dangerous creatures who could kill you but choose not to. The ultimate bad boy who can be tamed by the right woman. The fantasy perfectly encapsulates the desire. Some women sabotage relationships once the man is fully tamed. They create drama, pick fights, test boundaries, not consciously, but driven by boredom with safety. The relationship was exciting during the taming process, but boring after success. Understanding this doesn't mean becoming manipulative or abusive. It means recognizing that attraction operates on different rules than society pretends. You can be ethical while maintaining edge. You can be good while avoiding complete domestication. The future of relationships requires honest acknowledgement of these dynamics. Stop pretending attraction is about equality and respect. Some attraction is about conquest and challenge. Understanding reality instead of pretending leads to better relationships. I want to hear from you. Have you experienced this dynamic? Have you been the dangerous man being tamed or the safe man being ignored? Have you noticed these patterns in women you've dated? Drop your experiences in the comments. Let's have the conversation society doesn't want us to have, because understanding real desire, not pretend desire, is how we build real relationships. So, what are your thoughts on today's topic? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Psychological Depth, so you won't miss any of our upcoming posts. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.